Guys, I'm back. What's up? Hold on a second. All right. Now I'm gonna move. Not move, but just move around. All right, better. Much better. Um, so once I have some people in the chat, I want them to tell me what the sound is like, please. But this is just gonna be a humorous chat, um, talking about the 100 men versus a silverback gorilla. Which I mean, hopefully everyone takes this for the joke as it actually is. But hold up. Um, Looking to see if anyone comes into the live. But like I said, obviously I don't expect anyone to take this too seriously. At least I hope not. There probably are some people who take it seriously, but I'm assuming they're in the minority. So we'll see. Um, and like I said, I'm connecting this to the YouTube short I did earlier. And I was saying there, they look like this viral like joke started on Twitter, well, X, formerly Twitter. Um, so aside from that, this is going to be an Ask Me Anything format, which I should have probably put on the in the topic space. But again, the question for today is, who thinks they can take that gorilla? Hey, Agatha. Agatha, how is the sound like when you're in? Is it Do you hear a lot of air in the background? If so, that's my fan. I can turn it off. But wondering if the sound is clear to you. Is it clear, or are you getting does it sound airy? Yes, yes. Which yes is good. That's clear. Okay, thank you. And can you hear the music in the background? If so, I'm gonna turn that off. Because if it's too if you can hear it, then that means it's too loud. Mm. So let me just take it down one notch, just in case. I don't want to get demonetized with that, or I'll just have to delete the video. Oh darn it! Uh-oh. Turn down little things. I don't. Other people don't get it. They don't understand it. If they can hear it, that means that's not good. So, so all right. That means I might have to. I might not be able to. Well, we'll see. I don't know if I'll be able to upload this. Hold on, let me see if I can actually put this down. Let's see here. hopefully that. Can you still hear me clearly? Always a good time for fruit snacks. Surprisingly, I rarely get a lot of women, so this chance when I get a lot of women in the chat. Um, I don't think the women will be fighting the gorilla. um, Topic is 100 men versus gorilla. So it's basically an ask me anything format, which I should have put in the topic. I just didn't want too long of a title. Let me focus this better. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm curious who actually thinks that it would be viable for 100 men to defeat a gorilla, or vice versa, that one gorilla can take down 100 men. I think the question is, who are the 100 men? As I hinted at in my YouTube short earlier, it depends. Like, are we talking about 100? You know, 100. What's a nice way of calling them? 100 just regular guys, or are we talking about 100 guys who are commandos? You know, commandos, special forces, stuff like that, or MMA fighters, professional MMA fighters. That would make a big difference. MMA fighters are very skilled with their bare hands. Like, again, there's a difference between 100 regular dudes who can't fight and, you know, of modest size, like maybe my size. Pause. Um, Agatha, no, I'm not a regular size. I'm joking, Agatha. I'm just messing with you. um, but no. um, yeah, it's a difference between like 100 regular guys versus 100 guys who are like UFC fighters and special ops or something of that nature. Even still, we need to admit, barehanded guys don't have that much of a chance. Like a person, a regular person hitting a silverback ape, like their bodies are like fortified like armor. Like don't let the fur fool you. Like their skulls and skeletons are have reinforced density like battle armor, or more like an exosuit. They are strong. They are as strong as like 3 or 4 regular men. And they have some surprisingly explosive speed for such big animals. Because standing up, they're usually about 6 feet tall and weigh about 400 pounds on average. That is huge. Pause. But to think that something of that size could just like smack someone around very quickly is kind of frightening. I would like to see the silverback versus the the bear. But here's one disadvantage. I don't know if the gorilla is going to have the stamina to to unalive 100 men. Now, trust me, anyone they get a hold of or they can bite is probably going to not be living. But 100 men is a lot of folks. That's a lot of people. Just ask one of those little corn stars. 100 men is a lot. Whether you're fighting them or you're them, that's a lot of people. So I don't know. I think the gorilla might be defeated just by his lack of stamina. Again, people, we didn't evolve to be very strong. We didn't evolve to be very fast. We didn't evolve to be very agile. But what we do have is the capacity for endurance running. We actually evolved to be endurance runners as humans, and because of our capabilities for endurance running, it's actually went on to affect both our physical and our cognitive evolution, which is a fancy way of saying that being a distance runner made us more selectively fit in our environment because it made us smarter and it made us more athletic. So much so that as endurance runners, early humans caught prey by running them until they died of exhaustion, which is called persistence hunting. So the gorilla doesn't have that capacity. Is immensely strong and immensely fast, but stamina, no. So like I said, after I can't say exactly, but I'm guessing after a couple of dozen humans that it unalived, it would start to grow tired very rapidly, and that might be the way 100 people, 100 humans are able to defeat a silverback gorilla barehanded. basically, the basically they can defeat the gorilla just by being one of the last men standing. that's literally that's literally your only hope. That's literally your only hope to defeat the gorilla is that you be one of the last men standing. Seriously, like if you can last without being bit or dismembered or you know your your limbs snapped in half or whatever, you might make it. You might make it. Like I said, those first 20 or so humans, oh, they're not making it. Mm-mm. But like I said, out of 100 men, he might still the the gorilla still might end half of those people. He'll He'll get half of those people. But like I said, it might just be a matter of chance that some people will survive and defeat the gorilla, just because the gorilla is going to get tired of ending so many people's lives. He's going to get. It sounds funny, but this is legit. Like the gorilla is going to get tired from ending so many people's lives. I know that sounds messed up. Actually, let me change my chat filter here too. All right. But what do you think? I'd be curious what other people think about the whole 100 men versus gorilla. She said yes, it will be a lot of work for the gorilla. Yeah, 100 people is, like I said, 100 people are a lot of people. Like I said, if you think of someone doing corn, you know what I mean by corn, place the C with a P. If if a woman did 100 men in corn, that would take a toll on her. So think of a gorilla just unaliving 100 people. That's gonna take a toll on him. And I don't mean to be so glib, but it is. This is funny because it's just so patently absurd. It's just as absurd as last year the whole man versus the bear thing. And I'm like, what? Like who? Like people were taking this seriously. Like I said, how many people it takes is going to be dependent on factors about those 100 people selected to fight. Like if you're just talking about some plain ordinary guys, no, they're not going to last. I'm going to last, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to keep running while the gorilla takes his time destroying everyone else. While the gorilla's in there doing his King Kong thing, I'm going to be chilling in the cut. Do people still say that, chilling in the cut? But anyway, I'm going to be chilling in the cut, and I'm going to be running as soon as I see him getting close to the next victim. Some versions of this story say you will get 1.8 billion dollars to fight a gorilla barehanded for 10 minutes. But they had changed the number. It wasn't 100 men. It was you and two friends. I wouldn't do that. That's insane. If I only had to pick from two friends to go against a gorilla barehanded, all three of us are gone, are goners. What if the gorilla surrendered? But why would the gorilla surrender? Like what would what would be the motivation for a gorilla to surrender? I don't even know if they have the concept of surrender. Like that I don't know. That's an open question. Even if they even have the concept of surrendering. Moonlit says, "I'll take it down to 30 men versus one gorilla. We lose 14 men, but we still win." I don't know. I like it at 100 men because, like I said, a lot of modern guys are just gonna die instantly. Like just one. And matter of fact, speaking of that, that gorilla, again, we're talking hypothetically here, guys, so don't take this too seriously because all of this is patently ridiculous. But again, this gorilla gotta get some. The gorilla gotta get some get back. All right, for Harambe. We didn't forget. The gorillas didn't forget. They didn't forget Harambe. Harambe, like they still got one. They still got one to get on humans for Harambe. So I'm saying we all about to collectively catch that elf for Harambe. Too much beating. That's what you like, Agatha. I'm messing with you. I'm picking with Agatha today, guys. But yeah, um, watch that that gorilla versus 100 men. That gorilla gonna go mighty Joe Young on them guys. Gorilla gonna be like Poraraza. Take two. It's gonna take two guys that look like Bill Gates heads together and be like. One of them gonna punch the gorilla. He just gonna be like. Then you gonna have one fool trying to do karate on the gorilla, right? You know we're gonna have at least one person. It's gonna be more than one person, but we're gonna have at least one person trying some karate shit. Do you guys remember Halloween? What was it? I can't remember if it was H8 or H2O, and out of nowhere, because one of them had LL Cool J as a security guard. The other one had Busta Rhymes. So I don't remember. I can't remember which was one. One was called was H8. Another one was H2O. So I always get those two confused. One was LL Cool J. The other one was Busta Rhymes. But remember when Busta Rhymes just randomly started fucking doing kung fu against Michael Myers? Like that's what someone's gonna try that shit on the gorilla. The gorilla just gonna break his fucking leg. Like take his leg and be like, I guess. They go straight up. They gonna sit up and they'll try to do a Muay Thai low kick on that motherfucker. Gorilla gonna just scoop his ass up and like. Oh, so. By the way, guys, if you like be if you like the more humorous side, because I know I get serious on here, but if you like the this humorous side of me, go to my Instagram. It's Aman Just A Contrarian. And this is on Instagram. So if you want to see me just posting a whole bunch of um, funny and not safe for work type of content, go there. Okay, you won't be disappointed because all I post on there is just silly memes and stuff like that. Occasionally, I post some of the stuff that I post here, not the live streams, but some of like the videos. um, but yeah, that gorilla would have a field day. Just like you got to give it 100 men, Moonlit, because again, we talking about 100 modern men, not 100 traditional men, right? Now, if you said 30 UFC fighters or 30 special ops commandos, I'll give you that. But we're talking about 100 average men. So, like I said, I think the gorilla's gonna kill half of them quite easily, and like I said, the only reason they'll be able to defeat the gorilla is that they don't have the stamina that humans have, which is what I tell my wife. But no, but because I do 7 miles a day, so she knows what's up. I'm just saying, Mrs. Contrarian knows what's up. Shout out to Mrs. Contrarian. But yeah, she knows what's up with the 7 miles a day. But anyway, so get back to the story. Um, they're again their only luck in surviving the gorilla is just to be one of the people surviving after he's unalive 50 of them already and is just too exhausted to kill anymore. Like he gonna be on his 49th human, like, and then he's gonna take a nap. What's up, Carlton? What, like he's gonna get so tired from unaliving humans, he's gonna have to take a nap, and that's when they can defeat him. So, like I said, prehistoric humans hunted through what's called persistence hunting. This comes from paleoanthropology, right? Where we found out that humans evolved to be endurance runners. And as endurance runners, we use that to literally chase down large prey, like the mastodon and woolly mammoth and the saber the saber-toothed care bear. Like you know what I'm saying? um, I'm being silly. But yeah, that would be hilarious though, a saber-toothed care bear. But no, anyway. No, so we would literally run our prey to exhaustion and then um, chop them up. And that was the way we worked because we had to work in groups, and because of the anatomical requirements to be endurance runners. This has actually fostered our cognitive evolution, which led to us having bigger brains to have more energy efficiency as endurance runners. So this is why I harp on running so much, by the way, guys, is the fact that we literally evolved to be distance runners. So there's really no excuse for any normal, healthy individual to not be able to incorporate running as a part of their fitness regimen. Plus, like I said, it's cheaper than hitting the gym because you can literally just buy sneakers and go running anywhere unless you live somewhere very hostile like a swamp or in the Arctic, right? Guy says like, share, and subscribe as you come in. Everyone, thanks. Uh, One says chimps and gorillas be hard. Pause, but no weapons. He said we're gonna lose 20%, but we still win. Dude, I said we're gonna lose 50%. Like I said, literally their only hope is that once the gorilla gets tired from unaliving so many of them, then they might be able to put a beat down on that gorilla. But again, he's gonna take almost half with him. If this is a healthy, if this is a normal, like we're not giving any handicaps to the gorilla, by the way. We're gonna assume this is a young healthy male silverback gorilla. He's going and he's fighting, the average Gen Z millennial who can't fight, probably didn't have gym every day, probably hasn't done any physical activity since they left high school or maybe college. Um, you know, he's gonna go through about 50% of them easily. Like I said, he can just take two of them and smash their heads together like this. And if they do land hits on him, it's not going to phase the animal. The animal's muscular density and skeletal density is insane. Like they are built like biological Ford trucks. So it would be shoot it would be brutal. And like I said, guys, go to my Instagram if you want to see me posting something funny about this. Where well, actually, I stole a video from the content creator Ace Vane, and it shows the gorilla preparing to unalive 100 men. He starts listening to Phil Collins. I can hear it in the air tonight. I can hear it coming in the air tonight. Yeah, that gorilla. Man, it would just be a slaughter. I'm saying, like I said, the the only hope is for the guys who weren't the first 50 to go. And then you better hope that Gorilla doesn't get a second win. Right? He sits down for a nap after he just killed 50 of your homeboys. He's sitting there snoring, talking about Harambe, and you go to try to sneak him, and but I hope he don't get a second win. If he get a second win, it's 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 a done deal. He said, if you're talking Starbucks kids, yeah, but for real talk, people that are trained, we win, but we take losses. Well, most people are Starbucks kids. Like the average person you encountered is not an MMA fighter, is not a combat, is not an infantryman or a special forces operator, uh, not a kickboxer. Um, the average person has that the average. Unfortunately, nowadays the average guy has zero self defense training, well, combat sports training specifically. Like there are a lot because of the rise of MMA gyms. So you got a lot of people to go to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, MMA, and Thai boxing, and even regular Western boxing. But there's still the minority. If you take a random, like if you take a random sample of the general population of men, most of them are not going to be trained. and and that's just for America. If you took a random sampling of 100 men across the globe, that's even less people who are going to be trained. At least in America, presumably you're going to have a little bit more people who might be trained within a random sample just because of the rise of MMA within within masculine circles here in the US. I mean, think about it. You have people, and I've talked about this in one of my YouTube shorts. It is so bad now that on the political left, just to be someone who cares about being physically fit is is right is now right wing coded. Like to want to be physically fit is right wing coded now, even though the physical fitness craze started within the left back in like the 60s or 70s or whatever. The Yeah, I think around the 60s or 70s when they had the little physical fitness craze started with jogging and then aerobics, stuff like that. This started amongst people either on the left or who are just moderates. But now it's moved to effect to the point where if you want to be physically fit now, that's akin to being fascist. So again, since the I would say the political spectrum of the country is more or less evenly divided, most modern men are not going to have any training whatsoever. And again, it doesn't even matter if you're trained because barehanded, you're just simply not going to hurt a gorilla. Even if he never hits you back, you're not going to cause him any pain. You might cause him some frustration from putting your hands on him, but you're definitely not going to cause him pain. Like I said, their bodies are fortified like Ford trucks. Like their bone density is 2 or 3 times denser than ours. Um, their their musculature is ridiculous. Like I, I don't know how to describe it adequately without getting too nerdy talking about physiology and stuff like that. But they no. Just putting hands on a gorilla, you're still not gonna hurt them. They don't even have to hit you back. You could punch and kick that gorilla all you want. You're not gonna really phase it. Well, except for like in the face or the balls. Like you'll hurt them if you kick them in the face or the balls. So their balls are bigger than ours, but our dicks are bigger. So And again, I know Agatha appreciates that, right, Agatha? Let me stop messing with Agatha. She gonna get me, guys. I'm saying, their balls are swinging, but we got longer pipe. I'm just saying. Pause. So those are the only two places you're gonna really hurt a gorilla. It's his face and his balls. Any of that aiming for the, for the stomach and all this other sort of stuff, or the thighs like you would a person. Nah. So humans, human men are great fighters, but we've only evolved to fight each other. We did not evolve to fight other species. Like our 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 fighting acumen is great for fighting other humans or creatures that, or maybe some aliens that may resemble humans in some capacity, like Vulcans or Klingons or something like that. But aside from meeting, aside from us encountering humanoid species, we did not evolve well to fight other animals. We don't fight well against dogs, apes, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, no, they're gonna. This is why we evolved to use tools. Our use of tools is what helps us keep the apex predators at bay. It's because of our use of tools that we are the apex predator within the ecological stratus. But no, like I said, the average silverback gorilla is going to wail on 100 men, and like I said, 50 of them going down. And like I said, if he's feeling himself and he's remembered Harambe, it's game over, guys. Like you're just gonna have to wait till he get tired from unaliving your buddies, and then and then you got a chance. And like I said, if you putting hands on that gorilla, and I can only think of its anal genital region and his face as being the only sensitive places, because anywhere else is built like the thing is built like a fucking freight truck. Like you're not gonna hurt you're not gonna hurt a silverback gorilla, other than his only thing you're gonna hurt is his feelings. That's the only thing you're gonna hurt on the silverback gorilla. It's its feelings and its low hanging balls. But again, Agatha doesn't like that. She likes them. She likes it like Super Mario. We stop. What's up, Sneak Mob? By the way, but yeah, this is. I'm being serious. Uh, I'm just being humorous, guys. So if you got, I don't care if you want to take, if you want to ask me random questions, that's fine. It can be about nutrition, exercise, diet, or anything. This is a ask me anything format. I just put it in the context of 100 men versus gorillas, I, because it's funny. That's all. Long and strong. I told you, Moonlit. I told you, Agatha's a low key freak. You better stop playing. I haven't had chocolate in a long damn time. I'm just saying. Hey, oh, Sneak is your homie. Okay, that's cool. Um, well, welcome, Sneak. I hope please subscribe if you haven't already, bro. And keep coming back, please. I'm gonna try to be more consistent with my lives again. I used to do them every day, and then I just fell off because I was working out late at night. So for the reason, if you guys are wondering why haven't I been doing lives, it's because I've been working out late at night. So when I work out late at night, it's too late for me to go live. So that's the real reason. Agus is eating some now. Huh? See, I really keep playing. She don't get that black.com. Carter says I would get at least 20 Eddie Halls, strong man to hold down on his limbs, 10 Deontay Wilders, and prime Mike Tyson 20 Muay Thai fighters with strong kicks. The rest of the men I'll need to think about. Sneak Sneak Mouse is, or should I call you Pablo? The convo is awesome, for sure, homie. You know I smack both of them. Yeah, man. So like I said, the problem with see, when I first saw this meme, I didn't know it meant barehanded, and I'm like, barehanded. I was assuming the guys could. I saw barehanded. I was like barehanded. I was like barehanded. I was like, no one's defeating a gorilla barehanded. Like this this is not this is not Donkey Kong. Okay, I don't have any barrels to throw at him. Okay, and I don't have a car with bananas coming out the back of the car to defeat Donkey Kong or whatever we want to call the silverback. Because like I said, he's already going to try to get some get back for Harambe, which was like 9 years ago now. Them gorillas ain't they didn't forget. Then you're gonna be more fucked up when you hear the gorilla actually talking. He like, apes together strong. That's gonna be in the then you're gonna see a chimp in the back. Oh no! Oh no! Stop. I guess it's moonlit sleeping, eating M&M chocolate. Wait, how you sleeping and eating chocolate? Trust me, you're not gonna be sleeping until afterwards, and it won't be M&Ms. It's gonna be the king size Snickers with the nougat and a lot of caramel. And of course, it comes with the nuts, but not 8 nuts. The 8 nuts would be bigger than the chocolate bar. Moonlit pause. But yeah. um, but guys, isn't this just as insane as the whole man versus bear thing 2 years ago? And women, the funny thing is, it was a whole funny thing, and women took it seriously. Like women were taking it as a way to shit on men, so they were like, "I would choose the bear." We saw that shit happen in California, and that didn't work out too well. I'm just saying, it it, it didn't work out too well for those women who actually did encounter the bear. But they were all like, "Yeah, I'll choose bear. Bear would be safer." I'm like, "Really? Are we really having?" It's like, "Are we really having this conversation?" Like man versus bear like that. I was like, if you met a random man in the woods, he would probably be like, "What are you doing here? Are you okay? Do you need some help?" I don't know if it was far left liberals. It was just overall just people who were rather deluded. Because I think it was some conservative women saying it too. I can't attribute it just to the far left. This was just it wasn't a leftist thing. It was a feminist slash misandrous sort of thing. And misandry is on both sides of the political spectrum. You have misandry on both sides. But yeah, the whole like I said, there was literally a black bear in my neighborhood like 3 years ago, and everyone was freaked out because it was like literally like in the back of my house. I was like, damn, good thing I wasn't working out at that time it came through. But it was a young bear. It was like a young bear, not a. I won't say a cub, but like a little bit grown, more grown than a cub, I think. And I think it was the same bear. It made its way all the way through our neighborhood out to DC, which is almost like it was like 50 minutes away from where I live, DC. Um, and I just called it Humphrey Bear. I'm like, how the? I was like, this got to be the same bear. I was like, how the hell people getting the same are getting sightings of a black bear, and it happened right after we saw it here in our neighborhood. So it must have been the same bear, and apparently it was probably lost. And animal control just said, hey, if you encounter the bear, don't try to engage with it. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure most people aren't going to try to engage with a bear, and if they do, they deserve that Darwin Award. So likewise, if you see little 100 dudes signing up to fight the gorilla, just assume that half of them are gone. Now, here's one. Here's a funnier one, guys. Would you want to be one of the 100 men who fight the gorilla, or would you be one of those 100 men to fuck Lily, whatever her name is, the little British whore, who did the 100 men in was it 24 hours or she did 100 men in 12 hours. Which would you rather do? Be one of the like to me, uh, that's a that's a rather of a Sophie's choice sort of question to me. But would you rather be one of the 100 men to smash Lily, and they went one after another, so yuck. Or would you be one of the 100 men that think you're gonna take down Harambe 2.0? Just curious, where would you guys fall on that? Oh, Agatha, she wasn't even the worst one. Remember, so her former friend, who was also an OnlyFans girl, allegedly did 1,000 men in 24 hours, something like that. I think it was like, oh no, it was over 1,000 men in 24 hours or something like that. So her friend was worse. The funny thing is, the girl who originally did the 100 men in 12 hours got mad at her friend for doing 1,000 men in 24 hours because originally that was her idea or something like that. And then the girl who did the 1,000 men said, no, actually, it was my idea and you took it from me, so I did it before you. Either way, they're both nasty, and they're both from Britain. The Trump administration was actually threatening to deport them if they come here and try to film any more porn like that because it's causing, that can cause a sexual transmitted infection epidemic because they're all going one after the other raw in a chick. So you know that would that would be the question. Would you rather go raw up in that chick in Lily? Would you want to be one of the 100 men to go raw up in Lily, or would you be one of the 100 men who's going to fight the gorilla? That's the question. That's a better question. Don says, well, Lily's quote unquote customers would have used condoms, but fighting a gorilla and surviving would be awesome. I don't think they use condoms, bro. I don't think they use condoms. And even if they did, condoms don't protect against most STDs. It protects against like HIV, but things like chlamydia and gonorrhea and syphilis, you can still get with using condoms because it's still you're banging on you're still having contact between the other parts of your genitals with her labia and stuff. So so even with the condom, that would be a negative for me. um, but I don't think they were using condoms. I'm pretty sure they were going raw dog. Sandman says, "Hey, just contrarian. I couldn't find your video or live stream on Freemasonry. Can you help me find it?" Um, it doesn't. So it doesn't say Freemasonry. That's where you're missing out. It's gonna. It's talking about it's going to be labeled Moonlit. Can you can you remind me on that? What I think it was I think it named it the paranormal or something like that. So for like 2 weeks straight, I just did different subjects within paranormal. So I talked about psychic and ESP stuff. I talked about ghosts and spirits. Uh, I talked about secret societies and stuff like that. And it would have been under, it should be under secret societies, I believe. I didn't call it Freemasonry. I called it secret societies. So if you see one where it says talking about secret societies and the paranormal, that that is um that is the live stream that's going to say secret societies. Donald says I wouldn't go go wrong, Lily. No way. Nope. Like you couldn't pay me. Mm-mm. Like I said, they should not be allowed here. Oh yeah, I was like I think that would be a deportation that everyone could approve of. Well, actually, no. It'll be some soy boys on the far left that would be mad. He shouldn't kick them out just because they wanted to do that. Sex work is real work. Like, all right, stop the pandering. Like, you're not going to get any from her from pandering. But yeah, only someone on the extreme left would not want her to want those two British girls to get deported. But everyone else, both on the right and the left, and in the center, would be applauding Trump if he deported those two bitches. uh, Donald says, "Yeah, true. Little Lily's nasty as F." He said, "I'd fight the gorilla." Now, mind you, if you choose to fight the gorilla, it will be just a matter of random. It will probably be just a matter of randoms of random chance whether you're the 50% who survives or the 50% who doesn't. Because I guarantee that 50% of those men are going to meet their maker. That's the caveat. Like I said, you can either smash Lily and just utterly destroy your soul by doing so and risk catching super AIDS or super super gonorrhea. And by the way, that's not a joke. There are actually like more extreme forms of those STIs starting to form today, where they don't no longer respond to antibacterial, antibiotic medicine or antiviral medicine because they're forming new strains, and those strains are becoming mutated with other sometimes infections and becoming super diseases. But anyway, so you could take the risk of losing your soul and possibly your balls smashing Lily, or you can choose to fight the gorilla and hope that you're in the 50% of the people who by random chance survive. Because trust me, it's only gonna be by random chance that you survive that encounter with the gorilla. It won't be by skill, unless you happen to unless you happen to be a quite skilled runner, so that you can make sure that you just run fast away enough from everyone else so that they get unlived first, which would be my whole strategy. My whole strategy would be just to run away from everyone else so that they catch the L. That would be my strategy. Melissa, yeah, you were clarifying the secret societies. Yeah, because with the secret societies, I wasn't just talking about Freemasons. I was talking about, you got Freemasons, the Shriners, the Elks, fraternities, the Bilderberg group, um, stuff like that. So it was a general mention of all of them. SMS says I'll take a closer look. Thank you, and no welcome. You're welcome. Melissa's penicillin. No, penicillin is an old-fashioned antibiotic. It's not going to cure some of these more mutated, some of these newer mutated strains of STIs. Like they're already talking about they already were mentioning in the news that there are some strains of your regular types of sexually transmitted diseases that no longer respond to your normal types of antibiotics. Penicillin, but like I said, even penicillin, that's kind of like um, not the usual they use anymore. Usually use uh, I forgot what it's called, something oxine, but uh yeah, some of them aren't responding to those anymore. I guess I do hope men will fight instead of smashing Lily. I don't know. Like I wish we had a large I wish we had a larger chat room so I could just see what most people would think about that. Look, let's be honest. If half these guys were honest, they would probably choose Lily. Let's be honest. They were probably amoxicillin. Yes, thank you. That's that's more of the common type of antibiotic used today. Amoxicillin and some of the related uh, and a related family of antibiotics. I really doesn't have to worry about that. She know I'm clean, so you know. uh, Down says souls are important. I wouldn't want the super strains of STDs. If I had no choice, I'd fight the gorilla with 99 other people, and at least my grandkids would have an awesome story to tell. Right. Especially if you survive. They like sit, all right, sit down, kids. Let me tell you a story about me and this ape called Magilla Gorilla. So I guess we should add to that Agatha strong, long, and clean, right? But um, in any case, um, yeah, that's a that maybe I might mention on my Facebook personal page is with people I would say, do you guys want to sign up to be one of the 100 men to fuck Lily or the 100 men to fight the gorilla and see what people say. I think that I think that if you give them that choice, that reveals more about them than just asking if they will fight the gorilla. Asking them whether they will fight the gorilla is just like it would just be something funny, right? To ask because a lot of guys, but yeah, I could take the gorilla because they think because most guys, if you talk to them, think they can fight and they can't. Most and I've mentioned this before in a previous in like at least 2 or 3 previous live streams and in multiple YouTube shorts that the average man cannot fight because most of them don't have any training or very little training. And if you have a little bit of training in traditional martial arts, that really doesn't do much. I guess this guy's full of egos. Yeah, true. I mean, women have their egos too. It's just that our egos are tied up into violence because violence is the current is the violence is the currency of nature. Violence is the currency of nature. So men who want to be masculine assume they can fight even if they can't. Women's the other currency of nature. is sex, and women have the commodity on that. But for men, it's violence. For women, it's sex. So, um, yeah, if you ask a bunch of random people, yeah, they can fight, and then you actually have them put on some gloves and like either do some and either have them like spar or maybe hit some target pads, tie pads or focus pads, something like that, and realize yeah they can't fight. But I don't know, guys. But like I said, I think it's more interesting if you ask them that comparison. Would they want to be one of the 100 men signing up for Lily or one of the 100 men signing up for the gorilla? Honestly, apes of all types are super muscular. Gorillas generally don't engage beyond threats, but in those cases where they do, you need 100 guys with you, right? Well, I mean, technically, humans are part of the great ape family, believe it or not. And no, not all great apes are super muscular. There's one type of ape that is like, um, someone can Google it for me if you don't mind. But there's one type of great ape that is like demure compared to all the other great apes. Of course, we know of like there's us, there's the silverback gorillas, and I think there's like two main type of gorillas. There's like the big mountain, like there's the silverback gorillas, and then there's like the I guess the mountain gorillas or whatever you call them. But yeah, we'll just say gorillas. We'll just lump them all in one. So we got humans, gorillas, chimps, bonobos, and we're actually more related to the bonobos than to regular chimpanzees. The bonobos are sometimes called pygmy chimps, but we're most closely related to the bonobos than the regular chimps. Then of course you have orangutans, and like I said, I'm missing one. But we're out of but out of most of the great apes, like I said, most of them are muscular. We are not that. We don't. We were not built. We were not built for brute strength like the gorillas and chimps were. Because even the chimps and bonobos are stronger than us. And the bonobos are smaller than chimps. They're still stronger than us. But like I said, we didn't evolve to 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 be of great feats of strength and explosive power like the gorillas and chimps. Instead, we learned to endurance run, which is why which is probably came up probably came as a result of us being bipedal, walking on two legs instead of on four legs like all the other chimps do. Like the other chimps, yes, they can get on their two hind legs and walk, but when they do so, that's not their permanent way of that's not their usual biomechanics to get around. Like they can choose to get up on their two hind legs, um, to do certain things, but they typically they don't run on their two hind legs. They run on all four legs. Whereas we run on our two legs since our four legs evolved into arms. So these used to be uh, our front paws, which evolved to be arms. So we learned to walk bipedal on two legs, and as such, it gave us certain abilities that the other apes don't have. We could we could scan above the savannah, for danger or for prey. Um, it it convert it can like anything in in evolution, everything is a bunch of trade-offs. There were some good things that came with bipedalism and some costs that come with bipedalism, such as humans having low back problems, lower back problems, right? But it came with some good things. Like I said, we are able to be distance runners. Can't say none of the other apes can do that. And again, part of us becoming distance runners led to our brains becoming bigger because of more energy efficiency needed to support running at distances. We needed better oxygen uh, efficiency for the brain and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm not gonna get into the physiology of all that, but just suffice to say that again, as we evolved into endurance runners, that also led to the evolution. Led to our both our physical and our cognitive evolution. So if you want to know, so if you want to know why we're different from the other great apes, that's why. Don says, "Did you mean baboons?" No, not baboons, but I forgot them. So yeah, like I said, you have humans, gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, orangutans, baboons, but there's still one other one, and I can't remember what it is. Not baboons though, but thank you. Yeah, sorry, gorillas, chimps, orangutans, and possibly baboons. I think there's one more in the great ape family. I might, I might, I might be just thinking of primates. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of primates, and I'm thinking of, I'm saying great apes, but maybe I just mean primates. But I'm thinking there was another great ape, or, or I should say, another species in the ape family, and maybe it didn't. It's not classified as a great ape. It's just an ape. But there is another ape out there. I just can't remember the name of it, and I would have to Google it. To I could go on my other phone or on my desktop. I just don't feel like doing it. But rest assured, there is another ape out there, and it's not super built like the rest of them. We could take it. We could take it. Gorillas, nah, we're not taking. Like, it's gonna take half of that 100 men to get that gorilla down. And I hope it's not grape ape. No, 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 no respect. Let me stop. Some of y'all too young to know who grape ape is. If you didn't watch those Hanna Barbera cartoons back in the day. Oh, actually no. Yeah, grape ape, but I got the wrong. I got him confused with the shark. The shark used to talk like Rodney Dangerfield for some reason, and I forgot the grape ape was just like this giant ape. Um, yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the other ape though. Like I said, if one of you can Google it, that'd be great. You still there, Agatha? Moonlit. Um, but yeah, I'm like I said, I'll take other questions outside of the gorilla thing though. Obviously, like I said, this is an ask me anything format. I just was talking about the apes because just wanted to make sure. Agatha, after the live stream, hit me up, please. Okay, I'm probably gonna keep this going for like another. Well, it depends on how how many how much we how much feedback I get from the chat room, but somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes from now. I want to show you the no, well, I'll tell you then. Nothing bad, guys. By the way. Anyway. Yeah. So, oh, I didn't answer this myself. I should probably answer too. Like, would I choose Lily or would I choose the gorilla? Now, if it was like uh Donald's suggestion where they would use a condom, then I would choose Lily because anything because the at least the condom would protect you against the worst STD, which is a HIV. But the bacterial uh, diseases, the condom is less effective for, but those can be treated, assuming you're not dealing with a super strain of it. But like I said, that's only if it was a condom. If there's no condom, I'm choosing the gorilla. But here's my strategy with the gorilla. I am going to separate myself from the group. I am not going to be fighting in tandem with the rest of the group. I'm going to be like, good luck to you guys. You know, may may fortune always be on your side. And I'm going to duck out. And when the gorilla tires from all the people he's already unalived, then I'm going to come back and assist the survivors with putting him down. After I noticed, after I seen that there's no pushback from the gorilla, by the way. Because, after the gorilla tires, you're gonna have the survivors try to attack him, and the first few of them are still gonna catch an L. Yeah, he's still gonna have enough strength to catch those first couple of guys when that second win. So I'm gonna be at the very, very end of things and be like, all right, now we can go at it, But that, like I said, that first 50, that the first batch of guys, that first 50, they're gonna meet their maker. So, like I said, I would choose Lily only if I could use a condom. If but if it's like the video that she did where I believe all of them had went raw, then yeah, I'm gonna choose the gorilla, and I'm just gonna duck out till everyone else who survived is able to sub, subdue it. So that's my answer to my own question: Lily or the gorilla? Lily if a condom, if not the gorilla. Or Agatha. He's not. Don said I googled it, but with Wikipedia said gorillas, chimps, humans, orangutans. There's subspecies of all those except humans. So that's what I was saying. I don't think it fits in a great. I think it's technically an ape, but it's not part of the great ape family. Like the great ape family, like I said, includes all of us: humans, gorillas, chimps, bonobos, orangutans, and baboons. I think the other one is technically an ape, but it's not a great ape because I think that was the joke that I remember seeing this like several weeks ago. Is that they were saying that the taxonomists, the people who classify the different species, for some reason said, okay, all of you guys are great apes except for this one guy. So I'm not beating a gorilla. Well, you have 99 other people to assist you. My problem with that, with the you and 99 other men, is that whether you survive or not will just be due to random chance. That's my problem with it. Your 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 chances of survival are due to random chance at this point. Either that, or you have to completely think, like you have to completely flake out, and that's what I would do in order to survive. I would completely flake out Like I'm like, all right, yeah, yeah, let's go attack them, guys. All of a sudden, I'm, I'm, I'm pulling a Batman, and I'm gone. You won't see me until the very end, till the gorilla is completely exhausted and can't fend for himself anymore. That's when you'll see me pop up. So the only way to survive the encounter with the gorilla with 99 other men is that you completely flake out on them, which is what exactly my strategy. The problem that I think with that is there's a flaw to my reasoning though, is that probably a lot of the other guys are thinking the same thing. Like, hey, I'm not going to really attack this thing. I'm just going to leave and let everyone else fight for it. So then it will become random chance again, because if the gorilla just sees everyone actually like fleeing for their lives from the gorilla, he's just gonna just randomly start charging at people and ending their lives, whoever he can get his grasp on. So that would be the flaw in my reasoning for surviving that encounter, unfortunately. Agus is nice, clean, healthy. You already know it. But what was I gonna say? Um, yeah. Like I said, with a condom lily, that would be the best of two bad out of two bad situations. That would be the best of the two the two bad situations. No, Lily is definitely not Gen X. She's a Gen Zer. I think she's like 20, 21, 22 years old, something like that. No older than 25 or 24. Definitely Gen Z. But and that's the only reason you have a lot of guys signing up, because she's young and pretty, but she's obviously mentally ill. Down says there's lemurs in Madagascar, but they're small. Yes, I think lemurs might be technically considered. It might be lemurs, Donald. They might be technically classed as apes, but not great apes. Like I said, I think it was lemurs. Um, I don't want to turn on my desktop to look it up, but yeah, I think it was lemurs. Um, it might be lemurs, but like I said, I remember the joke was that lemur, it was whatever species it was, lemurs or whatever. They was like yeah, and for some reason, they was like the zoologists were like, yeah, all these guys are great apes. This one is just gonna be an ape, not great ape. So it might have been a lemur. 'Cause I don't know if lemurs are technically primates. Have definitely evolved from primates though. No, lemurs are definitely primates, but my questions are whether they are apes. Like I said, there is a classification of apes, but it's not part of the great ape family. So you got apes, then you got great apes, then you have then you have hominins, then you have hominids, and then you have modern humans. So yeah, so you go from primates, yeah, so you go from like yeah, primates, apes, great apes, hominins, hominids, then modern humans. Um, like I said, I think if it's lemur or someone else, they fall under apes generally, but not the great apes. And I don't know if it's true because I think it was just a biological joke. I'm not sure, but technically it was like the only ape that's not also a great ape. So I don't know. I'll look it up later probably. Um, yeah, I'm probably gonna end this later. By the way, guys, if anyone wants to show me some appreciation, you can always leave me a super chat. If you're live with me right now, if you're watching this on replay, you can leave me a super thanks. The super chat and the super thanks are similar, except the super chat is when someone is actually live streaming. In the process of live streaming, you can leave them a super chat. Um, but if you're watching like a pre-recorded video or you're watching a replay of a live stream, then you can leave a super thanks, and any amount is welcome. 1 cent, 10,000, whatever you like dropping would be appreciated. Whether it's 1 cent or $10,000, I don't care. It's all good to me. Um, or you can send me a cash app or buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com. The links will be in the description if you're watching this on replay. So um, thank you guys in advance. And if you haven't already, give me a like, a share, and a subscribe. Those subscriptions really help me grow the channel. Uh, my goal for the end of 2025 is to be at 10,000 subs. Okay, so so your subscriptions will help out a lot, as well as likes and shares. And again, if you can donate, that would be great. Whether super thanks, cash apps, or buy me a coffee. Um, and I do have stuff behind the membership paywall if you want to sign up for a membership. Don says I agree. Condom with Lily over fighting a gorilla, even with 100 people. Yeah, because like I said, you don't know whether you're going to be part of the remaining 100 people after the gorilla has had his fill of of murder. After the gorilla's had its fill of murder, it's going to be random chance whether you survive or not. But aside from that, like I said, I am probably going to go soon unless anyone has any other questions about any other given topic. It doesn't have to be about the gorillas or Lily. And again, people looking for like some of my previous live streams, everything is uploaded. There's only been one live stream I've deleted, and that was because the music in the background was copyrighted. So I didn't want to leave that up since it was demonetized. It was complete. Like sometimes I'll get something and it'll just be partially demonetized, meaning they just won't play any ads, but I can still, you know, it will still be open to other forms of monetization. But that one live stream was completely demonetized, which means there was no way of like making any sort of revenue on it through ads or other forms of monetization that YouTube partnership allows. So I took it down. But other than that, everything I've done on here for the past 3 years is here on this channel, except for that one live stream. Um, and like I said, excuse me, if you find talk about um, I was talking about the paranormal interesting, you can look that up. It was like 2 weeks straight of me talking about paranormal stuff, secret societies, ESPs, uh, telekinesis, spirits and ghosts, aliens. I talked about aliens. I talked about secret. I talked about uh, hidden locations like things like Atlantis and the Bermuda Triangle and all that sort of stuff. Mind you, all the stuff that I talked about, I approached with a sort of skeptical lens. So if you're going there expecting me to talk about it in a way that that supports those things, you might be a little bit miffed on that. But it was still an interesting conversation on those things. I also did multiple streams talking about philosophy. There was ones when I took like a particular topic, and just expounded on it, or when I did my little late night philosophy stuff where I let people just ask me random philosophical questions or stuff like that. But like I said, a little bit of everything in there, and I'm trying to tweak it to where I want it to be, to whatever niche I think will be the most attention grabbing. I guess I enjoyed tonight so fun. Thank you. We always enjoy our nights, Agatha. They don't know. So I'm playing. I'm playing. People will really think me and Agatha doing something, but we're not, allegedly. So I'm joking, guys. Uh, but Don says if that gorilla raging, people will be pushing you forward. It will be an absolute shit show. Yeah, that's why I said I would be out. I would not even be in the mix of people. Like I would flake out from the very beginning. So I'd be like, nah, guys, I'm done. And then I'll just observe from a distance all the mayhem and stuff. And then, like I said, once the gorilla has literally uh, fought himself to exhaustion, then I'll come back to help them in the ape. Of course, barehanded. I don't know exactly how we would do that, unless we're allowed to pick up tools and make them into makeshift weapons. Because I'm assuming the only way we could beat this animal is through makeshift weapons. Because e- even if it's exhausted from from its melee of death upon these 100 folks, like I said, their body is still going to still be too strong to hurt. Like I said, they're built like a freaking Ford truck. Their skeletons are multiply more dense than ours. Their muscular tissue is more dense than ours. They're like 400 pounds and 6 feet tall on average. I don't know. Not sure we can survive that one, guys. But yeah, it would be a shit show because, like I said, I'm pretty sure most guys are going to start running away instantly as soon as the gorillas start raging at them. And you know how they run up on you sideways, like they run sideways when they're on their back legs. When they're on their forelegs, like they can probably run fast at you in a rectilinear direction. Rectilinear is just a fancy way of saying straight ahead at you. But if they're on their two back legs, they would run at people sort of like sideways because that's an easier way for them to move along. When they're on two legs, is like sideways. But mm, but yeah, my plan would be not to be in the mix anyway. I would be far gone from everyone else and let them catch the L's on that one. But is there any other questions, guys? If not, I'm gonna call it a day. I'm tired. I'm about to go to bed. I've been up really early, so Adonis, I think with paranormal activity and secret societies, it's healthiest to be open but skeptical. I love talking with you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, like so, when I went on these talks, I didn't automatically just give people my view. I kind of let people talk about it first, and then I offered my views on it. Like I didn't automatically just interject, yeah, all of this is BS. I didn't, so that wouldn't have been very fruitful. So I let people talk about what they thought, and then I came in and said, well, actually, this is such and such, and because of that, this is why things appear that way. So, but like I said, the paranormal stretched almost 2 weeks long. Then I talked about like philosophy stuff for like another week or two. But someone said I'm looking at the man himself. Not the man, you mean the ape, right? But yeah, this is gonna be Harambe 2.0, the quickening. This is gonna be Harambe 2.0, the quickening. If 100 men, especially modern men, decide they're gonna fight a gorilla, they're gonna get they're gonna get bodied and quickly. Like even though this gorilla doesn't have our stamina, because they have such explosive power and strength, they'll be able to body a lot of those dudes by the time they look up from like their cell phone. So I don't know anyone else any suggestions. Like I said, or you could choose the Lily route. You can choose to smash Lily, but if you gotta go raw dog, I don't know. You might be better off fighting the gorilla, because I am not sliding up in someone who already has a bunch of sperm swimming up in her in her receptacle, and probably riddled with STIs as well. And that just I and it's not even at 100 men. It's not even sloppy seconds. It's like sloppy 90s. Connor says my homie sent me this link. Much love. He said I've seen you live before. Are you woken working on a project? What do you mean a project? Not currently. Um, my my intentions are just to grow the channel this year, um, by up to 10,000, if not more. Um, unless you mean outside of YouTube, like the stuff I'm working on outside of YouTube. No, I'm not working on any project. Calling it the sloppy 90s is absolutely but diabolical. I mean, hey, she did it though. She did 12 men and I mean, sorry, 100 men in 12 hours. And then her friend said, "All right, well, I'm gonna do 1,000 men in 24 hours." And I still don't believe she actually did it because the numbers don't add up with the time. Because it was well over 1,000 men. She claimed it was like 1,038 or something like that. And I was like, within 24 hours. Mm, yeah, it's fishy. Let me see. Asses and all those yucky yuck. Yeah. Word on the street is Agatha has the chocolate drop. uh, Cog says, I must have misunderstood you. I thought you were working on a skit or movie related to the subject. No, I was just posing a question because it was just funny for the past 3 days that people have been talking about it. That's all. No, I'm not working on anything. what I will be working on is I'm about to go to bed, so I'm about to do that because you guys can kind of see my energy going. So I'm struggling. So I'm gonna go, guys. And she said no, still lacking it. um, all right. Well, unless there's any other. Oh no, still. Oh no, still looking. Looking at wow. Actually, letting things loose today. Um, but guys, I'm about to go. Unless there's any last questions. So if there's no other questions, I'm gonna dip. But please, thank you for everyone talking with me, chopping it up with me. Um, guys, go ahead and give me a like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And like I said, anyone who has the financial wherewithal, um, you can send me a super thanks, little super chat, um, or you can hit me up on the Cash App or buy me a coffee. All that's appreciated. And if I get more memberships, I'm gonna start doing some more membership only videos. But I haven't done any in a while just because I haven't had any new members. So there's no point in putting stuff behind a paywall, if there's no one to see it. Which sounds philosophical, right? But no. Ice is okay. Good night, sir. Beautiful jokes. Thanks. Connie says, me and my homies have spoke on the subject many times. Realistically, only a grizzly bear can defeat a gorilla, in our opinion. Um, if you mean like just brute strength, um, I don't know. It's it's a it's an open question just because these sorts of apex predators don't live within the same environment. So it'd be an open question which would win, and would it be based on whom's environment it's in? Like, is it like would the predator's environ be a part of its tools to win? Probably so. But if it's based on brute strength, who would be able to maximize it in almost any environment? Um, I don't know, because then like think about in the water, neither one of them are gonna have the advantage over something like a killer whale, or orc or orca or whatever, right? And then or polar bears, they are quite avid marine animals as well. But anyway, Colin says I'm too hot to type. Forgive me. No worries. These are not in every case, but if anyone was to defeat a gorilla, it would be the grizzly bear. I believe they lose fairly often, though. It is. It's a. I think at this point it's fairly academic in the sense that we wouldn't see that matchup just because they're not in the same. You would never catch them in the same environment. Um, the closest thing would have been the alleged Bigfoot, which is something else I tackled in my paranormal discussion too. Was Bigfoot and other sorts of cryptozoological animals. Cryptozoological is just a fancy way of saying hidden monsters, right? Bear, Bigfoot, the abominable snowman, the Loch Ness monster, the chupacabra, the New Jersey devil, um, the skin changer or werewolf, stuff like that. So, but outside of there being like a Bigfoot type animal that could challenge a bear, I don't think apes and bears will ever be in the same environment to compete for territory the way lions and tigers sometimes compete for the same territory, or even lions and uh, leopards. Or so, um, and then the funny thing is, all the physical evidence that people have alleged for Bigfoot usually turns out to be brown bears. So, like when they get fur or other sorts of DNA traces, they will analyze it, and it's usually almost always a bear, usually a brown bear. Kong says gorilla versus octopus would be crazy. Depends on what type of octopus. Most octopi are rather small. Uh, Maybe think of like a giant squid. He said, "Man, Bigfoot is just a gorilla." Uh, I I don't know. I mean, I guess Bigfoot has some of its legends stemming from the Pacific Northwest of the U.S. and from certain Native American legends talking about Yetis and stuff like that. But again, when you look at any sort of alleged evidence for these Yetis or Bigfoot, they almost turn out to be brown bears. So, so yeah, they either mistook a bear or primate for Bigfoot. I think it's silly. We don't have many natural primates in the United States. Trying to think. Trying to think. Do we have any natural primates? Well, I mean, aside of humans in 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 the north in the U.S. I don't think so. Now, I mean, we have primates in Central and South America, but not in the United States and Canada, if I can remember. I don't know. That's a question for another day. Just it says skunk ape is often mistaken. Skunk ape in the U.S. Down says if Bigfoot is a gorilla, he's a gorilla that escaped from a zoo because I don't think there's primates in North America. Yeah, the same thing I said, Donald. I mean, there are primates in North America, but that's in the Central America region of North America. You have primates, you know, in Latin America, whether Central and South America, and technically Central America is part of North America, and other parts of Central America are part of South America because Central America itself isn't a continent; it's just a geographic region. Um, but yeah, I don't believe there's. Again, someone can correct me, but I don't believe there's many. If I don't think there's any primates in the United States and Canada. I don't think, unless they're. I'm not talking about the ones in captivity. I'm talking about like ones who are actually like indigenous to those regions. Now I know in ancient. Now I know in prehistoric times there were primates in what became North America when all the continents were together. But um, yeah, in modern history, I don't think there has been any primates in the U.S. and Canada. Now, Central and South America, yes. Concepts I never really thought U.S. I just thought about it as a whole, as in worldwide sightings, kind of make me wonder how. Now, yeah, Bigfoot is only Bigfoot is only an American phenomenon. Now, there are sightings of other alleged types of cryptozoological species similar to Bigfoot, like the abominable snowman in in um, in South Asia, particularly around the Himalayan region, like places like India, Nepal, um, maybe parts of China, but around the Himalayas, the Himalayan mountain region. Um, there might have been some beliefs in abominable snowman, but As far as Bigfoot, no, that's America, and even more specifically, that's mostly the Pacific Northwest where you get those sightings. The Pacific Northwest, but sometimes in the southeast United States too, but mostly in the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington, Northern California, um, maybe places like Wyoming and Montana. So I know different regions have different names, but they all claim to have some sort of Bigfoot or Yeti. No, because like I said, the Yeti and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken, is specifically a Native American thing. So the thing, cryptozoological species tend to be regional monsters. Like the Loch Ness monster is specific to Scotland and specifically to Loch Ness, which Loch is like Scottish for Lake Ness, like specific specifically to that to Scotland and specifically to the Loch Ness. There is a there is a Canadian version of Loch Ness, but it's a completely different name. It's a completely different species, but it's also alleged to be some sort of serpentine like animal. Um, but Bigfoot is is endemic to North America and specifically to the Pacific Northwest. Just like Chupacabra is specific to like the Southwest and Mexico. The New Jersey Devil is New Jersey, maybe Pennsylvania, but mostly New Jersey. People in New Jersey are kind of retarded. Let me stop. But um, yeah. So uh, Melissa's Kong and Paulo are my homies. Sorry, been busy. No problem. Uh, Donald says in Australia, native indigenous peoples have myths of the Yowie, which is similar to Bigfoot. Early settlers believed in the Bunyip. I've heard of that one too. Haven't heard of the Yowie. I don't remember the Yowie, but I do remember the Bunyip, which is also a Bigfoot type being. I think in any country where you're probably going to have a large animal that can stand up on its hind legs, you're going to get that often confused with other types of monsters because people will uh, misattribute that sightings of that animal with something more mysterious just because they will often do so in not the best visibility and that person may not be sober. So if you combine someone seeing something they can't readily identify but can stand up on his hind legs to give it a human like appearance, um, and there's a lack of visibility because it's nighttime or it's in a place where there's not it's not uh, clear sighting like in the woods, right? And on top of that, the person may not be sober; they're high or drunk or whatever, or suffering from mental illness. Then you combine all these things together, and lead that would lead in different types of monsters. Uh, Constantly the same stuff with Loch Ness. We have a monster we call Nessie in Vermont. Constance is all just a childish story spread around different regions. No. So here's the thing. Uh, ethologists, zoologists, um, marine biologists, and others will all go out to try to discover these cryptozoological animals because you should watch my stream on that on cryptozoological animals. Here's the thing: sometimes we do verify that these things exist. So, for instance, from classic books like Jules Verne. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where the submarine is attacked by a giant squid. Now we know the giant squids actually exist. We know the giant squids actually exist, or the narwhal. That whale. There are these whales with large tooth-like protuberances coming out of their head, like a unicorn. We know those narwhals aren't just a sailor suffering from dehydration. Those things really exist. Or the mermaid. Mermaids don't exist, but we do know that sailors at sea were actually seeing something, but what they were typically seeing were usually manatees or sea cows under the water, which due to poor lighting and maybe malnutrition on the part of the sailors, or being drunk, whatever, they misattributed to being actual people swimming under the water with fish-like fins, but they were seeing manatees. Um, so sometimes cryptozoological animals do actually exist, but many times they don't. So it's not always the case that these monsters are just a bit of fiction. Sometimes we verify that these things do actually exist, and then other times we learn that people are just misattributing the features of animals we already know exist with um, these fanciful creatures. So in the case, like I said, in the case of Bigfoot, um, most of the time people are just having sightings of brown bears and don't know it. Loch Ness is more complicated. Um, just like with Bigfoot, is a combination of fraud, misattribution, and having fic, uh, uh, a fiction-prone personality. Sorry, a fantasy-prone personality, um, and maybe just some unexplained phenomena. But Loch Ness is usually attributed to things like um, some of the aquatic features of Loch Ness itself. But there was, a belief that there was basically a marine dinosaur that has survived through prehistoric times until now in Loch Ness. But it wouldn't make sense because just as a matter of biology, like the amount of species it would need to be within Loch Ness to keep it going after all these centuries would have made sightings very would have made sightings very frequent. The amount of species it would be needed to keep that species going through these millions of years would have made it that it would have been a frequent sighting had that species actually existed in Loch Ness, assuming it was like some sort of marine like dinosaur, right? And speaking of dinosaurs, like I said, again, so another fanciful creature that has been seen in many parts of the world, typically in Europe and Asia, were dragons. People in both East Asia and Europe, had beliefs in dragons. And now we know that the reason why so many people in medieval Europe and feudal uh, feudal China believed in dragons was because they probably had been seeing the fossils of dinosaurs, and the easiest way to explain that in their time would to be assumed that these were dragons. But now we know that these fossils that people may have come across in medieval Europe or in feudal China or in feudal Japan would have probably been fossilized dinosaur remains, right? So sometimes cryptozoological animals exist, sometimes they don't. Connor says some people call them Champ from Lake Champlain. Yeah, that is the Canadian version of Loch Ness. Champ. Yep, yep, yep. That's what it is. I need to. That reminds me. I need to subscribe, resubscribe to Skeptical Inquirer. It's really the only periodical I still read, and there's still a bunch of them, a bunch of issues I still haven't read yet from like 6 years ago. I still haven't read. But Scientific and sorry, Skeptical Inquirer is the only magazine I still read now. Kong says, yeah, exactly. Everyone from New York area, druggies, and they all claim to have seen this monster named Champ. It's pretty sad, to be honest. Amun says, hit but the like and share and subscribe. Super chat as well. Kong says, I'll check it out, homie. Thanks. Amun says, and wouldn't Nessie be a giant surgeon or catfish? So no, like I said, it's alleged to be some sort of dinosaur. I forgot the type of dinosaur that people have alleged it to be. But it's changed over time as people have tried to make it more uh, a scientific valid classification. They have changed. Originally, Loch Ness was assumed to just be a giant sea serpent, uh, which just seems, um, which again, like they've actually like went to Loch Ness and probed the water. Like the water is pretty murky, so that kind of leads to like these sightings. Not to mention, like I said, it's not the visibility on the lake on this large lake is not very clear, so it can lead to a lot of misattribution of what is like normal everyday things like trash and debris and the movement of the waves um, relative to observers on land looking at observing these things. Um, and like I said, you're more likely to think you see something if you already have a fantasy prone personality. So, for instance, like when things go bump in the night, someone with a fantasy prone personality is more likely to attribute that to ghosts, spirits, demons, gremlins, stuff like that. Um, but a more skeptical person like myself, they hear bumps in the night, they're going to assume it's due to, you know, the HVAC system, um, the wind coming through the bedroom, people maybe walking around in the house, um, small pets or animals. Um, Not to mention the settling of the house. For people who know a little bit about architecture, know that as houses get older, the the um, the foundation starts to settle, and that can that can make noises as well. They can like sound like creaking and stuff like that. Um, Kong says people claim Champ as the last dinosaur living in existence. He's just a Nessie knockoff. Yeah, I don't believe in any of these things. Mona says, but the sinkhole in China that opened half a mountain have full zoology and new trees and insects that have been living and thriving for thousands of years. Well, so honestly, I don't know anything about that. But what I will say is, it's a difference between there are every year people find new species of plants and animals. What we're talking about is that's not surprising. That's to be expected that as we explore previously unexplored regions of the globe, including uh, the seas, that we will find different species all the time. That's to be expected, especially when it comes to things like plants, microbiotic life, and insects. Those sorts of things. There's new types of plants, microbiotic creatures, and insects found every year. What we're talking about is megafauna or megaflora, large animals. large trees or something like that that haven't been discovered before. It's going to be like I said, outside of the deep the deep trenches of the ocean, there's not going to be very many places where we're going to find megafauna that we have not previously already explored on the globe. It's going there's very little places on the surface of the planet that have not been explored to the point now that we will find some previously undiscovered megafauna. Now, the only time we do discover things is sometimes we'll discover something that we thought was extinct still alive. Um, that's happened a few times, but rarely have we come across like new megafauna that's been previously never classified in the past. Because we're just not at a we're 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 just not at a point where that's going to be likely anymore. Because we've exhausted so many avenues of exploration, at least on the surface. Now, under the sea, there's probably some megafauna under there that we have yet to be discovered. Like I said, it's only been in what the last 40 years, 40 maybe 50 years that we found out that giant squids exist. Not only do giant squids exist, there's different species of giant squids, some that are bigger than others, and the larger types of giant squids are deeper in the ocean than the smaller giant squids. And we only discovered them because when they die, they rise up to the top of the surface of the ocean. And there have been a few that have tried to attack boats. So, well, this is how the naga fish. Down says the strange thing about yowies and bunyips in Australia is that there's no animals here that looks that way. The closest is the red kangaroo, our biggest ruse, but they hop, they don't walk or run. Huh. Colin says, yeah, it was nice meeting you. Um, no problem. Um, appreciate the chat. Mullen says the ocean is what we should explore more. We've explored more space than our own oceans, and now lidar, with the lidar thing, will be more exciting things to come. Um, actually, no, we have not explored more space than the oceans because I mean, think of the immense. I get what you're saying, like relative to how much. I'll say this. So I guess you're saying relative to how much space travel, um, we've done more space travel than we've done sea travel. Now, yes, that is true. We've done more space travel than sea travel. However, we have not explored more of space than the oceans because space is immense. Like the entire cosmos. I mean, just the solar system alone, we've barely touched. Like most of our exploration has been between the Earth and the Moon, and beyond the Earth and the Moon, we've only sent artificial satellites, um, to places beyond the Earth Moon system, which is why people like Elon Musk want to explore Mars with humans and have them actually colonize and terraform the planet. And of course, a lot of people are saying, well, first we should attempt to terraform the moon before we try to terraform Mars. Of course, there's the question is what unlikely consequences could come from trying to terraform the moon. Uh, Indoor, but no. Yeah, we've done more space travel than sea travel, but we have not explored more of space than we have explored the seas because there's so much more. The space is just exponentially, like ex- exponentially, if not potentially infinitely bigger than the oceans of the Earth. The By comparison, the Earth is just a pale blue dot compared to the immensity of the cosmos that that we can explore, and that's just even within our local Milky Way. Not to mention the local. the local supercluster of galaxies. Carlton says those things are scary. Yeah. Moon says glider groupers are scary as I don't know what those are. Donald says in Myanmar, after decades of being closed off to the world, researchers set up cameras in the jungles there and found 10 cats, ranging from tigers to mid-sized marbled cats that almost resemble. Uh, didn't finish that. Well, yeah. So Burma, Burma, Burma's been shut off because of its military coups and civil wars and stuff like that, and like many um, underdeveloped nations, a lot of them don't have limited um, opportunities for scientific research unless it's through like its government, and you gotta go through the military junta which is in control of the country right now. It's kind of messy. And Melissa says I'm 6 hours away from Burma. uh, Now it says canines to small tree cats. Several of these cats have never been seen before. It's saying, yeah, Asian leopards, and they are beautiful. Yeah, but see those species. uh, I mean, yeah, you're right about that. What I would say about that, those are species that are already classified under already known families of animals, right? So, like I said, the weirdest thing I think we discovered was like the giant squids that existed, because at back, you know 70 years ago, this was just a matter of science fiction. Giant squids, like I said, with Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or uh, you know stemming even way back to like uh, the Viking, the uh, the the Viking books, talking about the Leviathan and stuff like that. Like, you know, this was mentioned all the way back when the Vikings were exploring Greenland and Vinland and Iceland. I think Vinland is Iceland, right? But yeah, exploring when they came to North, because the Vikings were the first people outside of the Native Americans themselves to explore North America, and and like I said, the Viking sagas mention things about giant squids, but of course, stuff like that wasn't taken seriously. It was taken as like fantasy. And then you had stuff like Jules Verne come along and make the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the giant squid attacking the submarine, which submarines didn't even exist yet. So Jules Verne was ahead of his time. Um, but come to find out, then we actually developed submarines and giant squids actually exist. So Jules Verne was like a literary genius. I don't know. What's it called? Um, Vinland Saga is a great anime. Yeah. Um, I don't want to confuse it with anime, but I'm talking about like, so the Viking people um left behind stories of the explorations not related to the anime, in which they've related of stories of their maritime adventures, and there was mention of like large sea creatures. So again, we find out now that some of these things were real, that these sailors were seeing. They may not have always accurately described them. Like I said, they thought that their discovery of manatees, they thought were mermaids, but we know that's not true. They were manatees that they discovered, but they did actually see something, and they may have seen other giant sea creatures as well. like the narwhals and the giant squids, maybe orcas and sea lions and seals, and penguins, stuff like that. Because they did have a brief settlement in North America, um, under people I think like Eric the Red. No, was it Leaf? Was it Leaf? Sorry, I think it was Leif Eric the Red or something like that. Like he was one of the prominent Viking explorers. Amon says you can see multiple whales with giant squid marks. Imagine seeing that now. Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up because my phone needs to charge, and so do I. I need to charge myself. So, like my phone, I should go um, charge up. Um, so that would be it for me. If anyone else wanted to mention anything, you can put it in the comment section and I'll check it out. Um, all right, good night, Donald. Thank you. Cheers, Moonlit. So that's it for tonight, guys. Like I said, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell for times when I upload. I don't always upload in advance, but when I do, you will get a notification. Um, and like I said, if you feel like donating, you can hit the super thanks, or you can leave a cash app or buy me a coffee. Those links will be in the description. And there's a treasure trove of previous videos, previous live streams, and YouTube shorts you can check out as well. From everything going from paranormal to martial arts to philosophy to psychology and me talking about politics and pop culture. So, thanks, guys. Take it easy. Have a good night.